cases. And use case really means what's the input to the AI model and what's the output to the AI model. So to give you an example, use case number one, input a news article link and output an engaging tweet. Okay, use case number one. Use case number two, in this particular case, again, this is going to be a Twitter or X app. Input all trainings and the scripts of the info product, essentially upload all the scripts of all the videos that the person is already offering, and output interesting tips and nuggets that then can be shared on Twitter. Use case number two. Use case number three, input screenshots of customer testimonials and output a short tweet with that image highlighting the benefits of the offering. Does it make sense so far? So it's like use cases like, okay, so I have an AI model. At high level, what it means is that there are different modalities of AI models, or text to text models. There's image to text, text to image, image to image, all sorts of different AI models. So first understand what the use case is, what needs to be done. So in the first case, a news article is going in, which is text, and a tweet is coming out, which is a text with a link. The second one is also text to text, because you're putting a large amount of text from all the training and you're outputting small nuggets or tips. Okay, so again, large text goes in, small text comes out. The third one is actually image to text. So you upload an image and then AI will describe what's in the image with the context that it has, and then it gives you small text that you can accompany the image, right? So it says text to text, text to text, image to text. So step one is that client tells you, hey, create a cool AI app for me, and maybe they have some ideas. You kind of break it down into, okay, use case number one, a news link article goes in, a tweet comes out. Training goes in, tweet comes out. Image goes in, tweet comes out, right? So it's kind of like understanding input, output, input, output. That's use case in AI. Essentially, you're like, okay, so there are a ton of models out there. To give you an example, you guys have not seen this. This is in the video that Matt dropped. This is the image. This is history of all the AI models. Not all of, I don't know all of them, but a lot of the AI models that have launched since like 1 year ago. And 1 year ago, you had ChatGPT 4, Claude 1, ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, and now you have ChatGPT 4 Turbo. You have Claude 3, which is really as good as GPT-4 now. And then you now have Facebook's Llama 3, which is open source. So the green ones are open source, the red ones are closed source. So it's like a explosion of AI models, and they do different things. Okay, and they have different costs, and that I'm going to talk about in a second. But the point here is that, okay, I define the use case, and then I pick a model, and that's pretty much the AI app right there. Okay, that's why I say it's actually simpler than what people realize. Okay, so you define the use case, input, output, brainstorm a few, maybe with a client, maybe on your own in your proposal. The next step is test a use case on various models to pick a model. Okay, so as an example, let's say we take use case number one, and we essentially have a prompt that looks like this: write a viral, engaging tweet for a link with a brief CTA to follow me for more tips and tricks with a link. Okay, so I essentially go, and Matt talked about it, but let me actually show you guys in reality. So I'm gonna go here, actually here, add a message. I'm gonna grab this thing here. Okay, and this is, by the way, if you guys have not watched the video, you can watch the video. This is OpenAI's playground. You should get access to a bunch of these models. They're actually super easy, do not require any technical knowledge really. And it is where you can test different input outputs to different models. Okay, in this case, I am in OpenAI's playground. And then I also opened up Grok And Grok is not Twitter's, Elon Musk's Grok. It's a different organization. It's grok.com. There are multiple of these. Matt goes through this, so I'm not going to go through it. I'm going to show you guys 2 examples. I'm going to refresh it so you see how it looks right away. You can sign up with your Gmail. So then I grab, let's say, the use case number 1, which is write an engaging tweet for a link with a brief CTA to follow for tips and tricks. I grab that. Okay. I go to Playground. And here you have access to different models. When I say models, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Sorry about that. But every single one of these is a model. And for example, you get access to OpenAI ones right here. Okay. You see all the models. ChatGPT 4 Turbo is the latest and greatest and also the most expensive. Okay. Cost is a consideration. And Grok also has a bunch of models, Llama 3 by Facebook, and Mixtral, which is super fast and cheap, and Llama 3 is also open source. So I pick Mixtral on this one, and I pick ChatGPT 4 Turbo, like a high-end model, and then a cheap model, okay? And when I say high-end model and a cheap model, the cost, this shows you the benchmark. Again, Matt walked through this. I know we just dropped the videos, so I'm not going to go through it. This actually shows you benchmarks, how much these cost versus each other. So ChatGPT 4 Turbo cost $60, okay, per 1 million tokens, where Mixtral costs $2.8. So it's like 20 times cheaper, okay? So this model right here on grok.com, Mixtral, is 20 times cheaper token for token than ChatGPT 4 Turbo. And ChatGPT 4 Turbo is obviously higher, what's called ELO, meaning it has more accuracy. But again, remember, one goal of playing with these things is to understand, okay, so for the task that I want to do I really need a, latest and greatest expensive ass model, excuse my French, like ChatGPT 4 Turbo, or I can use a simple, open source model that is much cheaper to my client. And that's part of your expertise. And it's easy to get a hang of this. I'll do it in a second. You can get a good feel for it. It's easy to get a hang of it, and it's an enormously valuable information to have. Again, I'm asking you guys to be a little bit, like, do a little bit of studying and working and playing to become good at it. And I think this is one of those areas, because there aren't a lot of people doing these kind of things. This is one of those areas where you can provide immense value to people just by helping them navigate the complexity of all these AI models that are exploding. So going back to my case study, I grab my sample prompt, okay, and I just grabbed a random workout, lose weight article off of internet, okay. So I go to Grok, and Mixtral is the model that I picked. It's a super cheap one, okay. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to run it here. It's super quick, and it's also, you can see the result. You can do it multiple times if you want. I'll do it once here so you don't get super confused. I'll do it once here. As you can see, it takes longer, and the more difficult the task. This is a heavy model with a lot of weights, okay? So both of them generated output. I took a use case. I put it in ChatGPT Turbo, ChatGPT 4 Turbo, which is a high-end model. And then I put it in a super simple one, okay? To put it in perspective, ChatGPT 4 Turbo, let's say ELO rating is a proxy for intelligence. ChatGPT 4 Turbo is a 1250 ELO rating. Again, don't worry too much about that. It is explained in maths. It just means it is like better in doing tasks. And let me see if I can find Mixtral. Should be here. It is, let's say, what is that? 1125 or something. Okay. So obviously, this is a lower, think of it as a lower IQ model. This one that I ran here, I gave the same prompts to a lower IQ model and a kick-ass model. Okay. State of the art. And this is the output. Now let's compare the outputs real quick. This is, by the way, these kind of tasks, once you do these kind of things a few times, you already know that this is a simple task. Therefore, the two models should perform relatively similar to each other. And let's see what happened. Okay, so this is the 2D generated, drop pounds and feel incredible with these top workouts of weights, blah, 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 from quick burns, blah, blah, blah. Here's a link, ready to transform. Follow me for more tips and tricks. Okay, this is what Mixtral generated. Get in shape with these top workouts for weight loss. Follow me for more tips and tricks. They're kind of the same. You guys agree? Like, it doesn't really make a massive difference. Essentially, what we have established, and obviously you want to bang on it a little bit more. You want to do more tests, and if you see a difference, then maybe that is a consideration. But obviously, cost one is 20 times. This is $3 per 1 million, and GPT-4 Turbo is 60. Yeah, that is more than 20 times difference in cost. So essentially, you go to your customer, you're like, okay, so this is kind of how the thought is. Again, we are pioneering here a little bit. I mean, it's not like there are a ton of people like specializing in building AI apps. So, and we have built AI apps for ourselves. I haven't done it for other people. But this is how a logical mind would think about it. You're like, okay, so my client has a need. They want to have an AI app that they offer to their fitness trainers as a service to help them with establishing a footprint on Twitter. What are possible use cases? We pick number one, which is input news articles, output an engaging tweet, and your proposal can have multiple use cases. And again, just like Deal.ai, different use cases, they require different models. So you can go through each, like propose 3 use cases, and say, hey, for this one, we use this model. For that one, we use that model. And we use this model because the result is good and the model is cheap. For this one, we use the more badass model because it is a lot of heavy lifting and you need the best model, even though it's more expensive. Doesn't make sense? So that's kind of the structure of your proposal. It's like, okay, so overall mandate, these are specific use cases. These are the inputs. These are the outputs. It's supposed to go here, supposed to go there. And now I need to plug in a model in the middle. Okay. And I use this benchmark. I ran the same example of multiple AI models, and this model is as good as others and it's cheaper. Or this model needs to be used because it's the only one that gets good results. You test it, and it's like, again, if you guys become good at this, it takes a little bit of work. Again, it's homework, but again, this course is for people, for those of you who are actually willing to push your brain a little bit. I call it push your brain. So you got to be able to push your brain a little bit on these. Just play with it. Say, okay, use case. It's always input and output. What is input? What's output? Are both text? If they're both text, then I need a text-to-text model in the middle. And then you go and play with different models. Matt walks you through quite a few of them. New models are popping up all the time. So become an expert in it. I don't know that many people who are doing it. And that's why I think it's a very unique opportunity, because you will have a very unique skill. And it's easy to gain if you're willing to push your brain. So for this one, I really want you guys to push your brain. Okay, so you pick the model and use case. Now you want to customize it a little bit. You're like, you know what? I'm going to add some bells and whistles. Okay, just like our apps have all sorts of different bells and whistles and settings and stuff, right? So let's say you want to say, you know what? I'm going to have a fun and lighthearted brand tone. Okay. let's add that. Where was I? Here. Sorry, guys. Jumping around a little bit. And what was the link? Let me do it here. Okay. Copy paste. Okay. Go away, add a message, blah. Okay, so same prompt again on the 2. I like that tone better for a for kind of like a workout coaching type scenario. I like the output better. Let me see. This one does the same job. Get ready to sweat. Discover the top workouts from hit to da. Okay. So you see what I did, right? I just added a little bit of bells and whistles. You can provide that as a toggle. Where was my presentation? You can provide that as a toggle to your end customer. Say, hey, do you want a fun and lighthearted brand tone? You want a blah, blah brand tone? You want whatever brand tone. It can be free text. So you append it to the, again, we are not getting into actually building this. It just, this is where I said the major skill to develop is understanding the fundamentals, having common sense, some common sense and understanding the fundamentals, and then being able to go into these different models, playing with input output, and then having common sense to know, okay, so is this good? Is this what a customer would want? Okay. To me, that is the hardest part, believe it or not, because implementing this from this point on, when you've decided on what's the use case, what model you're using, and what are the different toggles and variations, settings that you're going to add, is an easy engineering job, believe it or not. So it's that first part that is missing a lot of times, and then communicating that to the client. Okay. So essentially, you go through this exercise and you write a proposal that has, I think, like, again, we are pioneering this. So there aren't probably that many good examples to think through. So we are kind of like, you guys are at the beginning of this movement. So I think the way to think about it is this proposal probably has 4 major parts. The first part is that to take overall idea, because again, it's early days of AI and most people have like some high level understanding of what they want, but a lot of times what they want is actually not doable with the current technology. Okay. So you need to first narrow down the overall objective of the customer into use cases that can actually be executed with today's AI model. I have already given you examples in my first video of this academy of the perception versus reality of the technology gap. Unfortunately, people have unrealistic expectations. A lot of times, this means your clients have unrealistic expectations from what the technology can do. Technology can do a lot, but it cannot do a lot of times what people want. So it's very important to boil it down to exact use cases and then test it on models to see if the output is actually good and expected. What is is it acceptable to an end user? And based on that, the first thing is reality check, essentially. Use cases, this is what it's going to do. This is going to be the input. That's going to be the output. And reality check. It is doable. This is doable. This other thing is not doable. Okay. Just like I do on my own live calls. People say, can you do this and that? I'm like, okay, that one we can do. And that one we cannot do. Okay. And over time, you become really good at it. The second thing, do a benchmark analysis because you have input and output. And you're like, okay, so what model goes in and what's the cost of that model? And based on that, and how good is the model or how fast it is the model. So you have to look at cost, speed, and how good it is for that particular task. Sometimes it doesn't make any difference. So you go with the cheapest and fastest. Sometimes it makes a difference. So you go for the most expensive. And that's kind of how we do it. Okay. So you do a benchmark analysis. So your customer is getting something from you that probably very few people out there are able to provide. I'm just telling you. And then part 3, present your test battery. I mean, test battery is like a group of example, like if it is the use cases doing articles, like take 10 articles. I did one and say, hey, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I ran all these 10 through, let's say you picked Mixtral. Okay. I ran them through Mixtral with this brand tone and I got these. I ran it through Mixtral with this brand tone and I got that. So it's like a solid report. Okay. And then the fourth part, which is now once the customer agrees to use case and scope of this, then it comes down to time estimation and pricing, which I'm not going to go through today. But just know that the hardest part of building an AI app is actually nailing down what needs to be built with what and what are the controls. And that's once that is done, the rest of it is actually a very simple engineering project. Now, I'm going to go through that later on in this course, where we have had all the fundamentals in place. I will tell you, okay, so now if once you and the customer agree on the use case and what models use and blah, 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 now how do you actually price it and what's timeline and stuff like that and how to pull it off? That's later down in this course, but the purpose of today was just to give you the 4-step framework. Use case essentially in this scenario means what's the input, what's the output of the model. The model sits in the middle. I mean, again, I'm simplifying. Sometimes like some of our apps have 3 models. Okay. So it's like we run through the first model, we massage it, run through the second model, massage it, run through the third. But the vast majority of your clients are not going to be sophisticated like tech companies that are building AI apps for a living like us, right? So the majority of your clients are people who have 0 AI app. Okay. So for those guys, use case normally means, okay, this is the input. This is the model sitting in the middle with settings, temperature, and stuff like that Matt talked about. And this is the expected output. Can one of the models do it? Can all of them do it? How fast can they do it? How much does it cost? That's kind of like the whole thing. Does that make sense? So I made it super simple for you guys. It's not 100% comprehensive. There are edge cases where people want really complicated things, but I really think you will see a huge influx of people who want simple AI apps built for them. If you have clarified exactly what you're going to build, what are the inputs and outputs, and if it's a simple AI model, okay, so if you're doing RAG and things like that, which I'm not going to get into today, if it is a simple AI app that is input output to an AI model, and you have